Hey everyone, this video does contain sensitive content, so I want to give you guys a warning. Viewer discretion is advised. If you are sensitive to topics of child abuse and drug use, this may not be the video for you, but if you're okay with it, please proceed. So the article we're discussing, the title is Man Accused of Raping Child in Exchange for Giving Meth to Her Mother. This article comes from Gilliam, Missouri, and it is brought to you by KCTV by Sarah Motter and Amanda Alvarado. The article says a man is accused of raping an elementary school-aged child in exchange for methamphetamine for her mother. According to the Saline County Sheriff's Office, a child reported last April that she was sexually assaulted by Thomas L. Gibbs Jr. And there he is, looking guilty as ever. The victim said that between the ages of 3 and 12, her mother would allow men to sexually abuse her in exchange for methamphetamine. One of the men was identified as Gibbs. So basically, this child was a victim of human trafficking, sex trafficking. I don't even really want to imagine how many men her mother allowed in and out of that home or wherever they were, allowing these illegal, inappropriate activities to occur. I can only imagine, but let me go ahead and continue reading the article. During the interview, the victim described Gibbs's trailer where he would allegedly make methamphetamine. She then described an instance during which Gibbs allegedly raped her when she was around 7 or 8 years old. When the victim was older, investigators said her grandmother was given guardianship and she was taken out of the situation. After that, she began to open up about what happened to her, and it was reported to the therapist and investigators. Throughout the year-long investigation, multiple witnesses placed Gibbs at the victim's home during the time she claimed she was assaulted. Gibbs was arrested on May 7th at his home. When he was advised that his arrest was for his relationship with the victim, he immediately demanded a lawyer. Gibbs remains in jail on a $250,000 bond. His next hearing is on June 4th. Copyright 2025 by KCTV. All credit goes to them, y'all. And I will link the full article in the description of this video. So apparently Gilliam, Missouri has a huge problem with methamphetamine. You know, there's a lot of people who are addicted to meth, and obviously this young girl's mother was one of the victims. You know, I know that drug addiction is really hard to beat, and I hope the mother is doing better. I hope that she's making better life decisions, because her daughter is going to suffer forever because of the poor choices she made. According to AI Overview, methamphetamine's impact on the brain, particularly its effects on executive functions and the reward system, leads to profound impairments in decision-making. 1. Damage to the prefrontal cortex. It damages the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for higher-level cognitive functions like planning, judgment, and decision-making. This damage can lead to impaired judgment and an increased likelihood of engaging in risky or impulsive behaviors. 2. Impaired executive functions. Executive functions, including planning, decision-making, and impulse control, are disrupted due to meth's interference with dopamine system. This disruption makes it difficult to manage daily life choices, solve problems, and regulate behaviors. 3, dysregulation of the reward system. Methamphetamine's effect on the reward system, specifically the over-release of dopamine, can create a strong bias toward drug-seeking behaviors. The intense pleasure associated with meth use can overshadow the consideration of potential negative consequences. 4, reduce impulse control. Methamphetamine use can impair impulse control, making it harder to resist immediate gratification or drug cravings. This can lead to impulsive actions without proper consideration of the potential risk. 5, increase risk-taking behaviors. Impaired judgment and impulse control coupled with a strong bias toward drug use, can lead to an increase in risky behaviors. Individuals may engage in activities they would normally avoid due to an inability to fully assess the potential consequences. So, to sum it all up, methamphetamine basically increases the likelihood that you will engage in very risky behaviors, things you normally would not do. Not that it matters, but I'm curious to know how much information the mother knew about methamphetamine before she tried it. I mean, did she just one day oh, I never heard of it, I'm going to try it? How do you not know about meth, especially when it's so widely used? At the same time, she should have gave her rights away to her mother. Her mother now has guardianship of her daughter. Why wasn't the mother, able to step in before? And I understand that when you're on drugs, that your mind is not thinking clear. You're making poor decisions. Obviously, you're selling your daughter. That's something I can't relate to. I can't imagine being so gone in the brain that I'm selling my child for drugs. Like, that's not even on the list of things I would look to sell. So I'm not trying to be insensitive to the topic, but it just seems like you should have been doing other things. I hate that this happened to this young girl. I'm really glad that she is in a better situation. I'm glad that the grandmother did finally get guardianship and she was able to get some counseling. A lot of kids are abused all the time and they don't get the counseling and they suffer for years. So this young girl has a fighting chance because she's getting the help early. So it looks like she was probably 12 when she finally got out of that situation. And I hope she continues to get counseling for the rest of her life. She is going to need it. I hope the mother is not allowed to get any more custody or any rights. I hope that her rights have been terminated. And I hope that her own mother won't allow her around her daughter. Because how she's not going to do it again. If she gets clean, she might relapse and sell her daughter again. I wouldn't even feel comfortable around my mother who sold me to drugs. Like, I cannot love somebody that much, but, I can't be in the shoes of that child. That's her mom. I'm sure she has love for her and maybe she has forgiven her, but that's just some acts that's unspeakable to me. She sold her daughter to multiple men, not just that one guy. Like, mad dudes was coming through there. This is a huge problem. This is a huge problem. This is not the first story that I've heard of children being sold for drugs. And it's like, you can't even imagine that someone would do that, but people do that. They're so high. One thing I would say, when I was younger, the DARE program worked on me, y'all. I definitely said no to drugs my entire childhood because the program worked for me. Like, I was scared of the consequences of how bad you looked, how out of your mind you looked, and how just your life went downhill once you get addicted to like a hard drug like meth. You losing your teeth, your skin, like everything is messed up. You're getting arrested. Like, I never wanted that for myself. And, I don't know what happened to this girl's mom, why she felt like she needs to get to meth. Clearly, she's been through some things. Clearly, this lady has been through some things. If you are struggling with any drug addictions, I will leave resources in the video description. If you are a survivor of childhood trauma or a victim, I will leave information in the description. I hope all is well with every one of you. And I hope that if you're going through something hard and you feel like you need to turn to drugs, I hope that you don't turn to drugs. I hope you get the help. But please give your children up give up your parental rights before you turn to drugs. Okay? Because if you turn to drugs, you're going to end up making poor choices that will affect your children for the rest of their life. It's better for your child to have you absent in their life than to have you in their life and destroying their life. It's not fair to them. Love your children enough to know that you are not able to do the parenting thing. Like, it's just not going to be for you until you can get clean and get mentally in a good position. Your child should not be around you. You are not a safe parent when you are on a hard drug like meth and cocaine and other things. Like, not trying to judge anybody because, a lot of people have been through trauma and they turn to drugs to try to feel better. But when it comes to your child's safety, you have no business being around your children. If you cannot make wise decisions, sound decisions, if you can't function in a daily if you can't function in your daily life, you can't hold on a job, and you can't take care of your children, you should not have your children around. And I wish that the Child Protective Services would have jumped in sooner to help this young girl. But I'm glad she's being helped now. That's all I can do.